Week 5 Day 1. Rampant, going unchecked, widespread sense. When the plague was rampant on the island, Dr. Arrowsmith's wife died. Sense rampant, increasing. Adjective. Of something bad getting worse quickly and in an uncontrolled way. Rampant corruption. Rampant inflation means that our wage increases soon become worth nothing. He said that he had encountered rampant prejudice in his attempts to get a job. Disease is rampant in the overcrowded city. Sense rampant, standing. Sense adjective after noun, specialized. Of an animal represented on a coat of arms standing on its back legs with its front legs raised, a lion. Rampant. Inane, foolish. Sense Orville Wright, the inventors of the world's first successful airplane, was criticized for his inane desire to fly. Sense inane. Adjective. Extremely silly or lacking real meaning or importance. There are too many inane quiz shows on television these days. Inanely. Adverb. He grinned inanely. Inanity. Noun. His speech was full of inanities that were meant to be funny. I was amazed at the inanity of some of her comments. Ethics Code of Principles. Sense a special management committee was asked to investigate business ethics. Sense ethic. Noun, usually plural. A system of accepted beliefs which control behavior, especially such a system based on morals, the Protestant work ethic. The ethics of journalism are much debated. He said he was bound by a scientist's code of ethics. Publication of the article was a breach of ethics. Ethical. Adjective. Ethical problem standards. Ethical practice. We are moral, ethical people and therefore we do not approve of their activities. Ethically. Adverb. This action is ethically questionable. Ethics. Noun. The study of what is morally right, and what is not. Sense work ethic. Noun. The belief that work is morally good. The work ethic was never very strong in Simon. Concur, agree. Noun, concurrent. Sense if I can get my parents to concur, I'll join the Peace Corps. Sense concur. Verb are formal. 1. To agree with someone, or have the same opinion as someone else. The new report concurs with previous findings. Plus that the board concurred that the editor should have full control over editorial matters. Plus speech, I think you're absolutely right, concurred Chris. 2. If two or more events concur, they happen at the same time. Concurrence. Noun. Formal. When people, things or events concur. Concurrent. Adjective. Happening or existing at the same time. The judge imposed concurrent sentences totaling 14 years for the attacks on the girls. Concurrently. Adverb. Her two dramas are being shown concurrently at the same time by rival television stations. Clandestine, secret, undercover. Sense the spies thought their meeting was a clandestine one, but a throng of FBI agents gathered outside the building. Sense clandestine. Adjective. Formal. Planned or done in secret, especially describing something that is not officially allowed. The group held weekly clandestine meetings in a church. He has been having a clandestine affair with his secretary for 3 years. She undertook several clandestine operations for the CIA clandestinely. Adverb. Formal. Stock and trade, the goods, tools, and other requisites of a profession, the necessary equipment. Sense a quick wit and a warm smile were the salesman's stock and trade. Cheating. During my first weeks at the new school I observed that cheating was rampant. I had always considered it rather inane to cheat on a test, because of my code of ethics, and because so much was at stake. Apparently, obviously the other students didn't concur. In fact, even the presence of a proctor did not intimidate them. Far from being a clandestine activity, the cheating was open and obvious. Week 5 Day 2. Flagrant, outrageous, glaringly bad. Notorious. Sense parking in front of a hydrant is a flagrant violation of the city's law. Sense flagrant. Adjective. Of a bad action, situation, person, etc. Shocking because of being so obvious, a flagrant misuse of funds, privilege. A flagrant breach of trust. A flagrant disregard for the law. Flagrantly. Adverb. The organization flagrantly promotes the use of violence. Admonish, to warn, to reprove. Sense I suspect that my father will admonish me for coming home late. Admonish. Verb. 1t to tell someone that they have done something wrong. Noel, his mother admonished him for eating too quickly. 2t plus 2 infinitive to advise someone to do something. Her teacher admonished her to work harder for her exams. Admonition. Noun. Uke, also admonishment, a piece of advice that is also a warning to someone about their behavior. The most common parental admonition must surely be don't stay out late. Admonitory adjective. Uke, formal. An admonitory remark. Duress, compulsion, force. Caught with one's fingers in the cookie jar. To be caught while you are doing something dishonest. Since the confession was signed under duress, the attorney claimed since duress. Noun. Formal. Threats used to force a person to do something. He claimed that he signed the confession under duress. Culprit, the guilty person. Since the culprit was caught with his fingers in the cookie jar. Since culprit. Noun. 1. Someone who has done something wrong. Police hope the public will help them to find the culprits. 2. A fact or situation that is the reason for something bad happening. Children in this country are getting much too fat, and sugar and sweets are the main culprits. Inexorable, inflexible, unrelenting. Since television sleuths are inexorable in their pursuit of lawbreakers. Since inexorable. Adjective. Formal. Continuing without any possibility of being stopped. The inexorable progress of science. Inexorably. Adverb. Formal. These events led inexorably to war. Inexorability. Noun. Formal. To take down, to take the conceit out of a braggart. Ship's colors used to be raised or lowered by pegs. The higher the colors, the greater the honor. To humiliate. Since the alumni thought they had a great basketball team, but our varsity took them down a peg. Cracking down. Mr. Dorsey, our new principal, determined to do something about the flagrant cheating at our high school. He issued bulletins and began to admonish those teachers who did not proctor alertly. Under duress, the faculty reported the names of the culprits. Several crib sheets were turned in as tangible evidence of the cheating. Mr. Dorsey's inexorable campaign against the wrongdoers seemed to be paying off. Week 5, Day 3. Egregious, remarkably bad. Since the bank teller's egregious error was difficult to correct. Since egregious. Adjective. Formal, disapproving. Often of mistakes, extremely and noticeably bad. It was an egregious error for a statesman to show such ignorance. Distraught, mentally confused, crazed. Since the soldiers were distraught to learn that their furloughs had been cancelled. Since distraught. Adjective. Extremely worried, anxious or upset. The missing child's distraught parents made an emotional appeal for information on TV. Duplicity, cunning, trickery. Since duplicity is the stock in trade strength of profession of all adroit counterspies. Since duplicity. Noun. Formal. Lack of honesty, especially by saying different things to two people. They were accused of duplicity in their dealings with both sides. Duplicitous. Adjective. Formal. Involving duplicity, a duplicitous traitor, spy, politician. Acrimonious, bitter. Since we tried to ignore her acrimonious comments, but that took considerable restraint. Since acrimonious. Since adjective. Their marriage ended 8 years ago in an acrimonious divorce. Since adverb. In 1967, he separated acrimoniously from his wife. Since noun. The acrimony of the dispute has shocked a lot of people. Paucity, scarcity. Since although it was a creative writing class, the teacher complained about the paucity of talent there. Since paucity. Noun. Formal. A lack of something. There is a paucity of information on the ingredients of many cosmetics. No, to pass the buck, to evade responsibility. The buck may have been a piece of buckshot passed from one poker player to another to keep track of whose turn it was to deal. Since he always gives me a straight answer, and never tries to pass the buck. Star player is caught. The cheating scandal came to a head when Art Cross, our football captain, made the egregious mistake of getting caught cheating on a midterm exam. If Art were suspended for his part in that sordid affair, our chances for winning the city championship would go up in smoke. The distraught coach asked the principal to overlook Art's duplicity, but Mr. Dorsey replied in an acrimonious fashion that the players had been given a plethora of athletic instruction but a paucity of moral guidance. Week 5, Day 4. Elicit. Draw a fourth sense. It isn't easy to elicit answers from a sleepy class on Monday morning. Sense. Elicit. Verb. Formal. To obtain or produce something, especially information or reaction. Have you managed to elicit a response from them yet? The questionnaire was intended to elicit information on eating habits. They were able to elicit the support of the public. Pernicious. Harmful, causing injury. Since the dictator's pernicious rules failed to intimidate the leaders of the underground. Sense. Pernicious. Adjective. Formal. Having a very harmful effect or influence. The cuts in government funding have had a pernicious effect on local health services. Tolerate. To put up with, to bear. Sense. Dentists appreciate patients who can tolerate pain. Sense. Tolerance. Acceptance. Noun. Formal. Toleration. Willingness to accept behavior and beliefs which are different from your own, although you might not agree with or approve of them. This period in history is not noted for its religious tolerance. Some members of the party would like to see it develop a greater tolerance towards contrary points of view. Tolerant. Adjective. The present government is even less tolerant of dissent. On the continent, people are more tolerant of children in public places. Tolerantly. Adverb. I would tell my grandmother about all the crazy things I'd been doing and she would just smile tolerantly. Tolerate. Verb. To accept behavior and beliefs which are different from your own, although you might not agree with or approve of them. I will not tolerate that sort of behavior in my class. Plus ing form of verb. I won't tolerate lying. Sense. Tolerance. Ability to bear. Noun. 1. The ability to bear something unpleasant or annoying, or to continue existing despite disadvantageous conditions. My tolerance of heat is considerably greater after having lived in the Far East for a couple of years. 2. Specialized in animals or plants' ability not to be harmed by a drug or poison over a long period of time, a greater tolerance to the drug. Tolerant. Adjective. I think men are less tolerant of stress than women. Specialized. Compared to other plants, rye is more tolerant of drought. Tolerate. Verb. To bear something unpleasant or annoying, or to continue existing despite disadvantageous conditions. It seems these ants can tolerate temperatures, which would kill other species. Construe. To make a deduction, to infer. Sense. She hoped that we would not construe her decision to run for office as a thirst for power. Sense. Construe. Verb. Formal. Construe something as something to understand the meaning, especially of other people's actions and statements, in a particular way. Any change in plan would be construed as a decision. Construction. Noun. I don't want them to put the wrong construction on my actions. See also construction at construct. Impunity. Freedom from punishment, exemption. Since the border guards allowed the doctor to cross the frontier with impunity. Sense. Impunity. Noun. Freedom from punishment or from the unpleasant results of something that has been done. Criminal gangs are terrorizing the city with apparent impunity. To lionize a person. To make a big fuss over someone, to idolize someone. The lions at the Tower of London were considered its main attraction. When the famous poet Dylan Thomas visited the United States, he was lionized wherever he lectured. Our Pyrrhic victory. Mr. Dorsey summoned a representative group of teachers and student leaders to his office, in order to elicit their reactions to the suspension of the football captain. He told them that cheating was a pernicious disease, that could not be tolerated at our school. He loathed having to discipline Art Cross so severely, but unless strict measures were taken, the student body would construe the incident as an open invitation to cheat with impunity. We may lose a football game, the principal said, but we can salvage our self-respect. Week 5 Day 5. Driving while drunk. Throughout literature we find recurring repeat tales of forthright people, who are outspoken in condemning illegal practices only to be brought low themselves when they, or members of their families, commit such acts. Since literature reflects life, we can expect to find similar instances, in which a person's ethics are compromised, and he falls prey to the pernicious evil that he had publicly denounced. Take the story of Barry Vernon, not his real name, an aggressive Ohio district attorney. Vernon could be counted upon to make acrimonious remarks about anyone who was driving while intoxicated. On numerous speaking engagements, he railed against drunkenness, and swore that any such culprit, who was found behind the wheel of a car, would be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. As fate would have it, Vernon's own son smashed into several cars, injuring 4 people seriously, and then failed a sobriety test. Following that flagrant violation of the law, Vernon resigned from office, saying that as a private citizen he would continue his crusade against those who drive under the influence of alcohol. Meanwhile, he wished to spend more time with his son, to try to understand the young man's behavior.